Welcome to Dare a New Belief, a place to discover what is possible for your life after the loss of a loved one, and where you will find inspiration, insight, support, and love, and hopefully a bit of laughter to help you through your day. Now, here's your host, Nada Hogan.
Welcome to Dare a New Belief, where you will find light and life, love and joy, healing, faith, and hope. A place where you get to believe in what is possible for your life. And today I have the great honor to welcome back Barb Greenberg. Barb discovered after 33 years of marriage, she had found herself struggling through a heartbreaking divorce. Her experience led her to write 2 books. The 2 books led her to create workshops for other women who realized their marriages were ending, and the workshops became the foundation for Rediscovering You, the company she founded in 2013 that provides education, support, and resources for women who are approaching, experiencing, or moving forward from divorce. Barb believes that when women heal, families heal. When families heal, communities heal. And when communities heal, the possibilities are endless. Welcome, Barb.
It's so great to be here.
Oh, it's so great to have you here. I'm just thrilled to carry on this conversation with you because there's so much wisdom and just love. You are such a loving woman. And I wanted to ask you before we dive into Rediscovering You, and that's how I know you, is from Rediscovering You, where you're helping women who are in any stage or any part of the path of divorce. But I've said it twice now about you have written 2 books. And it's like, oh my God, I can't skip over that. Can you tell us a little bit about the books that you wrote?
Oh, I would love to. And it's up to 3 now, just recently.
Oh, wow.
I know, it just happened. It just happened. After my daughter's accident, we were back in the cities. I had lunch with a dear friend, and who'd written a couple books, but we've been friends forever. And at the end of lunch, we're walking out of the restaurant, and she goes, "Have you ever thought of writing about this experience with your daughter? I think it could help a lot of people." And I went, "Oh, okay, I'll do that."
I love it.
I didn't know what I was doing. And then I turned around and I looked at where we had lunch, and it was off of Grand Avenue. It was a place called La Cucaracha. I think it's still there. My grandfather, Joseph, used to have a store. It was where his store was. That's the building where the restaurant was, where we were having lunch. So that's like a little woo thing. Yeah.
Wow.
So I thought, okay, I'll do that. I have no idea what I'm doing, but what the heck? And I started writing, and I found I really like to write. Oh, my goodness. So what happened was I have a feeling other people that journal, this happens to them too. As I'm writing the story about my daughter, I'm making connections about myself and my marriage. And I'll be writing things, and I would go, oh. You know, they just like light bulbs would go off. So that was my first book. So it's a story about how, as she healed, she gave me the courage. She planted the seeds for my own self-discovery. So that book is called Hope Grew Round Me, which is from a poem, because I couldn't figure out a title. But I love that. It's an appropriate title for the book, I think. Hope Grew Round Me. Then right after the divorce, I was really irritated with fairy tales and happily ever afters. I was not happy at all with those. So I decided to write my own fairy tale about what happened to Cinderella and Snow White later. And the prince wasn't so charming. And, and I realized that, they stay connected. They go together to find the wise woman in the woods who gives them gifts so they can reclaim their own happily ever afters. And Snow White goes, I was laying in the woods waiting for this guy to come by and wake me up. Why didn't I just get up? What is that?
Perfect. Perfect.
And at the end of the book, or at the end of their visit with the wise woman, they go, is there going to be another prince? What if there, is there going to be another prince that'll come along? And she goes, if there is, he won't have to rescue you. You already did that yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's not his job anyway. He can support you, but he can't rescue you.
Absolutely.
So that book is called, it looks like a fairy tale. It's a pretty little book. It's called After the Ball, A Woman's Tale of Reclaiming Happily Ever After. And then the third book, which just came out, is called The Seasons of Divorce, Insights for Women in Transition. And it's my articles that I've been writing over the past few years, and we divided them by seasons. The fall, things are falling apart.
Yeah.
Winter, it's like dark and cold and heavy. And spring, things are starting to come back and bloom. And summer is like, woohoo, we're back.
Yes.
And it turns out I've had comments from women who have never been married who love the book. I have a comment from a friend who is happily married for, I think, 50 years, almost 50 years. And she goes, I read a little article. I read one of the articles every day and I journal about it. And then I just had a businesswoman, professional businesswoman, who said, our professional businesswomen's book club has chosen your book for one of the books we're reading this year.
Oh man! Wow! Wow!
I know. I'm very excited, and each article has a few questions at the end. So you can reflect back a little bit. But that was, for somebody who didn't think they could write anything and who didn't discover, I didn't think I even enjoyed writing. I never considered it until I was in my 50s. So I like that piece too. That there's always something else waiting for you, to try, to see. So I love that piece. Yeah. And, so thank you for asking about and they're all on RediscoveringU. The last book is on Amazon too. But I like to, when you go to RediscoveringU for the books, or Kirk House Publishing, which is, I don't mean to be doing a commercial, but I like to promote local people, and they're the people that publish the book. So you can find it a bunch of different places. But so I apologize for doing that little blurb in there.
No, gosh, no, not at all. I love promoting local. Absolutely. And can you say the name of the publishing company? Kirk House Publishing, is that right?
Kirk House, like Captain Kirk from Star Wars.
Got it.
Kirk House Publishers, I think. Publishers.com. Yeah.
All right.
And,
awesome. So yes.
Thank you for asking.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yes, because I know that I have read the book, and the title, of course, I don't have the book in front of me, but it is the one, it's the, now I have to flip my paper back over to remember the title of it. After the Ball. Yes. And you are a fabulous writer. There's no question about it. I love that. And here's the part that I love so much about life. Life just gives us these beautiful blossoms all of the time. So you go through this divorce that's scary and frightening, and of course, leading up to that was the accident with your daughter, and all of these things that are devastating and heavy and dark and scary and frightening, and oh my God, where is my grounding? All of that stuff, and at least for me, it just makes me feel so like a tornado inside of me, so jumbly and so afraid. And then when we come to the other side of it, the beautiful gifts that we get to discover that are with us, that have always been with us, but it took that thing to be able to see it for ourselves, that I do have a gift, and not even realizing you have a gift till a friend asks you to share a story because it would help somebody else. And from that, you start recognizing, I like writing. And then you discover not only do you like writing, you're a beautiful writer, and you're changing people's lives with your writing and with Rediscovering You. But the blessing that comes out of that tragedy. And I just love that. I love that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And that's what happened to you too, which I really feel connected with you that way too.
Yes.
Yes. I think, Yes. I don't know what I was going to say, but yeah. I think sometimes we're afraid of like going through that dark period, thinking it will never end.
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah.
It does. And there's always a light there. There's always a star there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I was exactly what I was going to say. There is always a light there. And I love that you said star, because that's always how Dara is represented in my world. It's always a star. So you've said so many synchronistic things. So when I go back and listen to this, I will share with you, and somewhere along the line, I'll be able to share with the listeners, because this happens so often. Synchronicities that happen in a conversation, that you said something that I just was in a conversation with somebody else earlier, and earlier in the day or earlier in the week. And for me, they're just God crumbs. It just lets us know you are so on the right path, and everything that you are doing is just exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So, and for both people, or even if there was 10 people in that conversation. So for everybody, it's just a beautiful way to know it's our road signs, the God crumbs of, knowing that I am on the right path, and it's serving in the way that it should be serving. And I'm just grateful and blessed. And now I'm floating on cloud 9 or 10 or 100. So I have to pull myself back down here, because I want to ask you about, Rediscovering You, when that got started, it was because you were giving some workshops, and that even starting that, like, how did you even know to do a workshop? There had to have been a process. I don't need to know I don't mean the whole entire process, but I mean, like, how did that pop into your head? I'm going to do this because I think that's going to be helpful. How did you land on that?
Well, that was very interesting. After my first book, somebody connected me to a women's writers group, and they meet once a month for lunch, and nobody reads what they wrote. We would just go around the table and say what's going on. Sometimes it would be something about your mother. Sometimes it would be a writing issue or a marketing issue, or, it was just like a really warm, safe group. And people would say what they were doing, and everybody supported each other. And so when I talked about my book, they said, you need to do workshops for this to promote your book. And I said, I'm basically an introvert, so no, thank you. I'm not interested at all.
Yes.
But then I got brave and I did one, and then I'd stop, and then I'd do another one, maybe 6 months later, and then I'd stop. And that went on for a while. And then I thought, food, let's do something around food. And there used to be a Biaggi's restaurant in the Eden Prairie Mall. And when you walked in on the left, there was like a private little room. And I thought, maybe we could just use that room and do a dinner once a month. And, people would come because it's dinner.
Yes.
So the first one we did, I remember it was in July. And during dinner, we went around the table so people could share their stories, not to whine, but it was a place where your story was honored. What you said helped somebody else, and everybody knew they were not alone.
Yeah.
And then we would turn it over to the speaker. And our first speaker that night, she was a mediator that night. And so she started to speak. I turned to the waiter. I said, how much longer can we be in the room? And he said, the restaurant closed 20 minutes ago.
Oh, my goodness.
So we all got up. We all marched into the parking lot, and nobody left. Nobody wanted to disconnect from each other. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I drove home. When I drove home, I was like, physically was vibrating. I thought, this is really important. This is really important. So the next month we did another one. And one of the gals, the women there, said, do you have sponsorships available? I'd like to sponsor this. This is really important work. I went, sponsorships, that's kind of a good idea. I didn't realize I had a business.
Wow.
And so I didn't realize, but when you said like the God crumbs, I kept getting led. I keep still getting led where I'm supposed to go.
Yes.
So I just trusting I'm on the right path. So we started some sponsorships, and some time went by, and one of the sponsors said, I'm getting clients from this group. I'm rebranding my business. I'd like you to meet the woman that I'm working with who's doing the rebranding. And I thought, isn't that nice? They want my input. But I got to the meeting and they both looked at me and went like, "Oh, honey, you need some help," which was even better. It was even kinder. And so I met with this woman individually, and she came back with a 9-page proposal. And she said, your name should be Rediscovering You. I think that's the best name because people can rediscover who they are during this really difficult time. You have an opportunity to rediscover your voice and your spirit and your, path and rediscover yourself. And she said, you need to do classes every week and not every month. And, go have a good time. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. But she gave me all sorts of information. She was wonderful. So so we run it like the schedule's almost like a school, like a university where we have fall, winter, spring sessions and a little bit of summer school. And each week we bring in a different speaker. So one week it might be a financial planner. The next week it might be somebody on self-compassion. The next week it might be a family law attorney. The next week it might be somebody on resilience. We've had like all sorts of people. We had a policeman come and talk about staying safe. We had somebody come and talk about dating after divorce, which I thought nobody would show up, and there were a ton of people. But the classes are cozy. They're informal, relaxed. They're a cozy size. You never know how many people are going to come. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 8. Once in a while it's 10 or 12. But it stays small, which I like because then the connections with each other, the community, really good friendships are formed. The speakers can connect on a more personal level with everybody. Nobody's afraid of asking questions. We even had one person say, I wouldn't be asking if there were a bunch of people in the room, but since it's just you guys, let me share this. Right. So and if I would have had something like this, oh my gosh, I would have made much better decisions. I wouldn't have felt so alone like I talked about before. I wouldn't have felt so isolated, and I would have grieved, but not quite for so hard for so long. So it would have made a big difference for me. And, when people come back and they go, you saved my life, and then they look at you and they go, no, you don't understand. You saved my life.
Yeah.
It's huge. So I'm so grateful that I took the chance to do this, not knowing what it would be. I'm really grateful that I did that.
Yes.
I didn't feel like I had an option, though. You know how you don't feel like you have an option when doors keep opening up? And so,
yes. I always picture God reaching down and opening up that door and his hand on the small of our back, just kind of guiding us through. Come on, you can just take the step, just take the step. And all of a sudden you just, right? Because for somebody to say to you, you don't understand, you have saved my life. I mean, I know that you understand that because you were in that same position, although you had to figure it all out on your own. But to offer that to other people and they get to say to you, you saved my life. And that was exactly one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, what do people say to you? What do the women say to you that have gone through this after they have been with you for, probably even the first week? That's just like, oh my God, I have found my community. I found my support system. Yeah. But you've been doing this since 2013. So there has to be people whose lives have, I'm assuming that because of the support, because of what you offered, because of the professional speakers that you have come in and talking and sharing, that their lives are changing in ways that they never even dreamt of. Is that what you're seeing that's happening with the women?
Yes, it is. And I still get a card every once in a while from somebody who, like an alumni,
Yes.
I've just been thinking of you. Please know what a difference you made in my life. I'm so grateful to you. And then we had, before we were Rediscovering You in the earlier workshops, I had somebody who had emailed me. She said, she was considering divorce, and she said, I ended up staying with my husband, but I have to let you know that the things that I learned in those classes have made a huge difference in my life. What could be better?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Yeah, and the resources when people go, because we have sponsorship opportunities for women who have businesses or professions that our women are looking for. So family law attorneys, financial planners, therapists, realtors, people that, you don't know how do you find an attorney that you trust?
Right.
So you hear one speak, you go, oh my gosh, I totally click with her. So we have resources and people go, I wouldn't have known. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I didn't know there was such a thing as a certified divorce financial analyst.
Yeah,
when I was going through
right.
my divorce, I had no idea there was such a thing that could help with my finances. I would have never considered going to well, back then there probably weren't that many, but just so many options and resources that women are searching for that are right there on our website or in our classes. And so people can pick and choose which classes. You don't have to sign up for a session, for a series. We do have a membership thing, so it's cheaper if you become a paid member, or you can, go to as many classes as you want for the same amount. You could go to one class, every month. Am I saying that right? Did I say that right? Yeah. So, because I know I'm very sensitive to financial issues for women dealing with divorce. So I remember feeling like I was going to end up in a box under a bridge. But that's how I felt.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because the financial piece, I know it was one of the reasons I didn't divorce my first husband. And I love saying it like that because then everybody wonders, how many times have you been married? But with my first husband, I was so afraid because, what will I do financially? Oh, my God. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of people I know that stay with their husband because of that. So, yes, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Barb, but it's such a big piece.
It's a big piece, and it's a really big piece because in fact, there's a now, how they would talk about domestic abuse, and then people started talking about emotional abuse, and now people are also talking about financial abuse.
Yeah,
where the husband has taken control of the finances, he's hid the finances. He's hidden money. He's making, not that I'm not saying there are really good guys out there too that are ending up in divorce, but there are situations where there's really financial abuse where you just are lost. And how do you stay afloat? So yeah, that's a big one. So I try to be very sensitive of that when it comes to any of our pricing of anything, because I remember how scared I was.
Yes.
I was so scared.
Yeah, yes. And I know your pricing is so reasonable. So any of the listeners, wherever you happen to be, and it's one of the other beautiful blessings that I've discovered with the pandemic is we have come together in such a powerful way to empower ourselves from works like Rediscovering You and what you can offer. And otherwise people don't know about it if it stays local and we're not thinking about, oh my gosh, there's people that need help that are just not in the area or on the other side of Minnesota. And so now that it's virtual, it's like, oh, how beautiful that people can come in and be part of your beautiful work and what it is that you offer. I don't even want to say it, Barb, but we are completely out of time. Again.
Oh my gosh, we did it again.
I know, it's like, I don't know how it happens. It's crazy. It's a time warp when we're on this, but I want all of the listeners to know that the 3 books will be listed in the show notes. That Rediscovering You, there will be a link right there, right in the show notes, and information if people, can people contact you, Barb, or like there's a place to send an email if they have questions?
Yes, it says contact. Yeah, it says contact, there's a drop down that says contact, and you can just send me an email right through there, right through the site. You can send me an email. It's really easy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it's you have the most beautiful website. I just love it. So just being there is like a great big old hug. And you do I did. And you have this talk where, a video, and it's like, oh my God, you're just sitting with you. You're sitting right with you, and you're just so real and so human, and I just adore you, and I love your work. I love what you're doing, and I'm so grateful for this time that we had together today, although it went by way too quick.
This is just a joy for me to be part of this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for your beautiful work. And for all of the listeners, please know all of Barb's information will be there, Rediscovering You, and the books and the publisher. We'll make sure we put that out there too. And I wish everybody listening to know that there is support. There is people who love and care for you while you're going through hard times like a divorce. And Rediscovering You is the best. So everybody just have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your week. I'm just flying high here on Cloud 100. And Barb, thank you again for the beautiful work you do and just being your beautiful self and sharing your time with me. I'm beyond grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
All right, everybody have a beautiful week. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for spending time with us today. Please go to nadahogan.com for show notes and other information you can use right away. If you like what you heard here, please subscribe to our show and don't forget to rate and review right there on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you get your shows. And don't forget to tell your friends about it. We'll see you next week.